Welcome, everyone, to the third episode of Courageous Conversations. This is Michelle Oliver, and I'm here today with Lisa Michelle Zega. And today, our topic of conversation is language, specifically the language of midlife. I don't even want to say the word. So, welcome, Lisa Michelle. How are you today?
I am doing wonderfully well. I am on day 9 of keeping commitment to myself, of getting outdoors and moving my body. And so I am sun energized here in sunny California and real excited to be here.
I totally understand being sun energized. I think that is solar is definitely my thing. I totally love that. And we do have that in Colorado, like 364 and a half days out of the year, we have sun.
Yeah, Colorado is it's an amazing place.
It is an amazing place. Okay, so let's jump right into our topic. We decided to talk about this because, well, I wanted to. I don't know about you, but I just am feeling very annoyed about a lot of things. And it starts with the things people say. And it's largely around language of midlife. So I know that we both have been spending quite a bit of time on Clubhouse in midlife rooms. I'm on a number, and you probably are too, different platforms, social media platforms that cater to women who are late 40s, 50s, 50s plus kind of idea, 55 plus. And so I've been inundated with blogs and conversations and podcasts and Facebook posts and all of these things that contain words that I just don't resonate with. And until I started hanging out with all of these people, I really never thought about age. I honestly, except when someone calls me, like, I'll never forget the first time someone called me ma'am, but when people
It's a thing.
yeah, or when they say something like, can I ask how old you are? Then I realize there's something going on, right? But the language, so being with all these women, the language is bothering me. What do you think? Are you bothered by general language? Like,
Well, here's the part that I would say is everything that we do language wise creates, right? And we can, and words themselves have an energy to them.
yes,
So,
yes.
like, for instance, I was with a client today and he said, well, I'm going to try this and I'm going to try that. And I just, hey, can we disappear? Try. Like, because
Yes.
then you're saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And just invited him to experience the energetic difference in the body,
Yeah.
right? So, the way the word midlife strikes me, I think this is part of, I'm not sure if it's the energy of it or just my nerd, right? Because I hear midlife and I start doing math and I'm like, okay, 60s midlife we're living to 120, 50s midlife we're living, and so
I
I'm
know, like, here's the middle of your life. Do you know what it is? Well, go ahead. Go ahead. I just
no, no,
realized.
no. You go ahead, and then we'll just engage it that way. But that's how it initially strikes me: is look, our language matters. It creates. It has energy. Let's be intentional about the words we're using, so that they're supporting where we want to go, and they're actually anchoring us to that very future. So,
I
yeah.
totally agree. That is the crux of the entire matter, that we're speaking our lives into existence. And the thing is, what it does for me is it draws my attention away from my present experience.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what causes me to feel so annoyed. So I'm just going along, like living my life, doing these things, trying new experiences. And then someone will say, oh, there's a woman in midlife doing that. I'm like, what? So it defines your experience in a way that I feel distracts from the just the present moment.
Yeah.
And that's where I live. That's where I want to live. That's where I feel like our fulcrum of power is, and pleasure. And I mean, it's like life. It's happening right now. Like I,
Right
I
now.
am here right now.
Yeah.
So,
It's reminding me. So there's a question I want to ask you, and then something you said that reminded me of something. And it was, I was in a healing circle, and one of the participants had a reflection about the circle, and she said, right here, right now, there is no suffering. Like when I'm fully engaged, and it's so true that there is something about being powerfully present in our moment,
mhm.
that whatever we're actually going through in the experience of life, when we're fully in, that's it's not, we're not present to what's happening, we're present to what is. And
Yes.
that actually leads me to my question. When you hear midlife, um and it takes you out of your present, where does it take you to?
Rebellion. I mean, to be very honest, like that's
Yeah.
the truth. Because what I realized when you were saying that is anytime anyone has ever tried to pigeonhole me, it doesn't matter
Hmm.
what age I am
Hmm.
or anything, I have a rebellious response because I don't want to be contained.
Well,
And
freedom is like a core value to you.
yeah, it's number one. It's right there on my thing. My top three core values. Freedom is the top. Freedom, service to others, and joy. Those are my top values.
Yeah.
And freedom is everything. And I don't know, I just became aware of that. That's my initial response. You say anything and I'll prove, I have that energy of like,
Yeah.
do not hold me, fence me in kind of thing, So I
And
think,
your power becomes, I'm going to get myself out of whatever prescribed box you've put me in.
yeah.
And
And
so that you
honestly,
can champion your freedom. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, because I don't want to be limited. I'm very conscious of my own language
Hmm.
and and how it affects me subconsciously. So
Yeah.
yeah, I
Well,
think language
I
is
think
huge.
there's again a couple different places my brain's going. One, I don't know if freedom has always been a core value of mine specifically, but when I had an experience of gaining personal freedom, it well, maybe freedom every time I've slowed down. I'm thinking about this because I want to just be honest and present to myself. I don't think I was aware how precious or valuable freedom was until I came to an awareness that I wasn't living in it
Hmm.
and had an experience of moving there, and the way that that impacts this conversation we're having about language. And what I love about the understanding the power of language, it's not just the power to create. Our language also reveals our deepest beliefs. So
Hmm.
I have to reveals the sense of powerlessness we're feeling. I'll try reveals the wobbliness that we have in our own commitment, right? And so for me, when I started realizing how much those types of words were in my own vocabulary, I was like, oh, for this girl who's so loud and so out there and feels so magnetic in so many ways, my understory was leaking out in my language and telling anyone who had ears to hear, I feel more powerless than I sound in terms of volume or willingness to be, just publicly out there. And yet my language said, oh, she's not taking responsibility for her own life. And if you listen deeper, you'd say she doesn't believe she has control over her own life. So literally is living like a victim. So that's where language became really important to me, noticing the difference between the language of personal responsibility and the language of someone whose life is happening to them, for them, around them. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That is so powerful. I love the self-awareness around that. And it's really true because we're projecting out into the world, telling people, I mean, this is another one of those cliches, but we're teaching people how to treat us. We
Yes.
are showing people how valuable we are. And it's all in the presentation. It's all in
Yeah.
the conversation, the
Yeah.
energy, right? It's all different pieces of it. That's a really,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
I do want to point out just that I didn't start with this self-awareness. Honestly, I had been in therapy, I'd done some other things, but when I got in a container, let's say, or a coaching relationship, I think that was maybe the first context that, no, no, no. The first context was this woman's book group. And I was using this language. Well, when you blah, 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 blah. And the facilitator of the group said, will you own your own life with an I statement? Right? I was like, what the? I was a little annoyed. But then the power of owning my own story, I statements keep me close to my own life. And when I'm telling you a story about me, and I'm saying, well, when you went to the store and you this and you that, and you, no, 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 no. I meant I am removed from my life. So I statements was the
Mm.
first, and then it was a coaching container that put me, and it was the energy I felt in my body that convinced me. I mean, you can just do it. You can say, I have to do something and quiet yourself and feel it. And then say, I get to do something, or say, I choose to do something. And you can literally lift the energy in your body with the words you're choosing.
Yeah.
So
I
crazy.
really learned a lot about that when my kids were little, and there was a time when I had a preschool in my home. And um
I
I,
was a preschool teacher, and just so you all know, Michelle and I keep learning how many commonalities we
you
have.
were
And
a preschool teacher. Oh my God. Okay, so what I learned, you know that book, Everything I Learned in Kindergarten?
yes,
It's just true. I mean, everything
there's so
I
much
learned
truth there.
about working with business owners, I learned from homeschooling my kids and teaching these kids. So when I had them there, I mean, I just learned that speaking what I wanted created what I wanted.
Mm,
So if a kid, and you get all kinds of, the thing about having any type of school or group of anyone is you have no control over where those kids have been before they
right.
get to your environment. So there's
Yeah.
a wide variety of influences that you're trying to manage. And there might be a kid, oh, my light keeps falling over, sorry. There might be a child who um, is having a temper tantrum or whatever. But what I learned from that experience was always put out this happy, loving energy, no
Mm,
matter what's happening, and just guide them energetically by, touching them and moving them into the state you want them in. It's really as simple as
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And they're very amenable to it. So you can say, I mean, we all know this distraction is really easy with our little kids. So when we do that with ourselves, it's true. It's the same thing. It's just like, um, I don't know, it's a lot harder, isn't it? But
Well,
'cause
I think
so
one thing you learn from being with kids, and I also was a preschool teacher, homeschool mom, also taught like in co op situations with other people's kids. And this taught me something about being an adult. It's managing the transitions,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the transitions that tend to untether us.
Yeah.
And so even going from, lunchtime to reading time to nap time, and being mindful of how we do that,
Yeah.
and it not being so abrupt. In fact, oh, just the conviction in my own heart as I'm saying this, because as a mom with my own littles, I had 3 under 3.
Oh my God.
And you know how we can just
So
lose sight
you're a
of what we
saint
know.
too. You didn't tell us you're a saint.
But
Okay.
but that
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 puts
idea
you in
of,
automatic saint status. I'm sorry I interrupted you. I
I
didn't
don't know, but
mean
it's so funny that you're sitting here saying, giving me saint status when I'm thinking about how I lost sight of that with my own insert,
Hmm.
at number of times, but I can feel it in my heart, just the sadness of when I was so abrupt with these precious kids that were entrusted to me, and didn't navigate the transitions well. And that's one of the things, just for the people listening, like, I can't just say something and then if I get pricked, not reveal that to you. If I'm like, but it's like, well then, I don't know. But that's me coming into alignment with me so that I'm freed up in the conversation without that little nag telling me, you know.
Yeah, I think that's very important. This is why we expand and develop through conversation. Like we
Yeah.
heal through conversation, we
Yes.
grow through conversation. It's a very powerful thing. And that too is why our language is so important. This is the last thing I want to say about child raising right now, but what you were saying in terms of transitions, I also learned so much from Waldorf Education, which is how I raised my kids with Waldorf and Charlotte Mason, and I like mix
I
them.
was in Charlotte Mason.
God, you're such a goofball. You're so excited.
Well, because she's
So,
all about original sources and getting your kids into nature, and she
uh,
really inspired me. Like, I love Charlotte Mason. So keep going.
oh God, you're the only person that's like, okay, anyway, I never mind. So Charlotte Mason, okay, a lot of lessons. She was talking about like laying down the tracks in your brain, right? Like before, I mean, she was like in the 1800s or something
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
was brilliant in terms of
Yes.
education. And
Yes.
so she combines really well with Waldorf education because Waldorf is also about nature and like no media and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But so every transition in Waldorf education is simply a song. Like you
Yeah.
simply sing, and then that's like a trigger that means this is what we're doing, but there's nothing abrupt. It's a subconscious.
I'm totally having a Barney moment. Like, clean up,
Oh yeah.
everybody, everywhere.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. And
Yes.
everything, and it's not just Waldorf, right? But
No.
so everything that we learn about, really positive child rearing, we can apply to ourselves. I mean,
Yes.
it's just human nature. It's like these
It's
things were
ritual, right? Like
ritual.
language holds ritual, and
Yes.
ritual helps with transitions. And so whatever, you know, singing, that's a great one with little kids. Well, honestly, when I was managing an office, I would find myself singing to staff to like,
Isn't that hilarious?
but
And
I
it
am that
works.
dork who brings the,
Yeah, the joy to the moment.
yeah,
I
yeah.
know you're the only person I've ever met that's more annoying than me. Like it's crazy. Like, do you
I'll
also
take it.
I remember when my son was like, could you stop being such an extrovert? And because we'd be driving and I'd see someone and be like, if someone is within eye contact, I want to connect with
They're
them.
friends. Yes.
Yes. Oh my God.
Now, this isn't the same as language, but it is a form of communication. And whenever you do something like in traffic or whatever that annoys another person, they're flipping you off, they're yelling, whatever they're doing, right? And you may have cut someone off inadvertently, not used a blinker, I don't even know. If you'll wave and smile, and I'm saying literally give the energy of the wave, like,
Yeah.
thank you, oops. People, it calms their own nervous system down and we can reconnect. We help others navigate the stress of even our own missteps with this intentional communication of, just the friendly wave, eye contact, oops, whatever it is.
I totally agree. And so that's a good place to start to go into this next level, because we really are guiding everything that comes into our field of awareness. We have control over where it's going to go next. It's
Yeah.
that idea of there's an advantage in everything, you know, it's like a martial art thing where you just let the energy come and you just direct it into something else. That's really what we're talking about doing
Yes.
with words. So back
Yes.
to being annoyed.
Okay.
So
Let's go.
let's go. So I think what happens for me is I'm like, that stops right here. It's like,
Yes.
that's where the bullet stops for me. Don't, and I think people are just not aware, like one of and I started noticing all the hashtags when I was posting on Instagram, like, okay, what are the hashtags I'm supposed to use? And this one kept coming up of aging backwards. And that really bothers me because, first of all, we do not even know what we are capable of.
No.
We have no idea how long we are supposed to really live on Earth in healthy bodies, because we've done a lot of weird shit to our bodies with things that we call food that have nothing to do with food.
Mm-mm.
They're products that we put
Yeah.
in our bodies. And in my
And they fill us but not nourish us, so they give the illusion of food.
yeah,
Right? Yeah.
but my point is they're not really giving ourselves the opportunity to like
Mm-mm.
rejuvenate and rebuild and everything. So as far as I know, I could live to be 125 years old and be completely in, vital, happy, healthy, everything, right? I don't know. In the Bible, they were living that long. So I think it's completely true. I
Yeah.
like to keep my mind open to possibility. I don't have to act like, look like, think like, feel like a specific concept of, because I've lived on the planet for so many years, this is how I act,
Well,
right?
what does aging backwards mean?
I don't know. That's what I mean. It's like, doesn't even make sense. First of all, you don't, I mean, you can call it, I think what they're trying to say is, I want to use the word euthanizing, but that also means like being euthanized. That doesn't work. So I think they mean youthing. They mean like getting younger, but it doesn't. If they thought a second about it, they would understand that that doesn't even make sense.
Well, I so don't want to get younger. Like what? Like get younger, like get healthy, like anyway. So that one I haven't seen, oddly enough.
Aging
And
backwards,
no, but
it's
I don't like it because it's not,
it
I
doesn't make
don't see it
sense.
as serving me. Like it's not
Right.
giving me something of even a vision to live into. Aging
Yeah.
backwards to me means be 20 again. And I would not do that ever. I love the woman I am, but more, I love the woman that I worked to become. I love the wisdom that was forged in me. Like the idea of I don't want to do that.
But I mean, the words don't make sense. So
No.
aging means that you get older, that time is influencing you. You're getting older. So aging backwards doesn't
You're
really
getting
mean
young.
that.
Well, see, in my mind, it means you're getting younger. If I'm aging backwards, that's why I'm
Yeah.
like, it takes me back to, look, I don't want to be 5. I don't want to be 10. I don't want to be 20 or even 30 or 40 for that matter.
Well, I think that's what it means for most people, but I'm just making a point that I don't think that makes any sense. Why
No.
wouldn't you call it youthing, or like aging backwards doesn't mean you're getting younger. It just doesn't make any sense to my brain.
Well, see, and here's the thing.
I'm all about like getting like maintaining health and youthful everything
Yeah. Well,
except
I guess
stupidity, you know?
when I was in my 20s, I became a follower of Jesus, say around 18. And I remember like I had this experience of longing to grow in knowledge and in wisdom. And so in my mind, that meant also as I progressed in years and gave myself intentionally to knowledge and wisdom, that there would become this time where I envisioned my hair being all silver and that being this crown of wisdom that I wore publicly that declared that and so for me I remember I had this one
Oh, that's
particular
amazing.
and I had this experience where I was this brand new Christian. I was this new little follower of Jesus. I was very excited about this passionate love relationship. And it meant in my youthful heart, I will have known and walked and experienced the faithfulness, love, and who will I be then? And so maybe specifically that phrase it doesn't meet me in my passion or desire. And so I'm like, yeah, that doesn't serve me. And I think maybe it's important to say, pay attention to the way language is landing in your body. Pay
Right.
attention to what it's communicating within you. Because that specific language, it does not land. In fact, it's like, yeah, it's not even something I could hashtag with a clear conscience. Right? Like, because I was thinking about it. I've got midlife awakening as a hashtag midlife coach, right? Because I want women to know the age bracket they're identifying midlife with is the are the women I connect with. But if I'm honest, I've never liked the phrase. And I'm not sure what it means to me. It just doesn't necessarily feel good.
Well, I do think that essentially it comes down to knowing what you want. You can want whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you give yourself permission to want whatever you want. Want your life to be whatever you want. And then make sure that the language that you accept into your mind and the language that you put out into the world are in alignment with what you want. It's
Yeah.
really kind of as simple as that, right? But I guess what happens is, when we aren't really solid in that, I don't know. I don't know why I kind of get my, what do you call it when you get your like prickles up or
Yeah.
whatever?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But when I hear these words, I just think, don't do that to yourself. Like,
Give
and
me another example. Can you think of another one that's coming up? Because I feel
another
like there was
word,
a time we had a
pro
discussion and I
age.
was,
I
say it
mean,
again.
well, I shouldn't say this because I'm going to be on this platform and I really like it, but it's called pro age. And so to me, the word pro age, anything, I just don't want to be told that I don't want to be told that I can't do and be and have what I want. That's what
Yes.
it comes down to. And anything that I feel restricted by, I just prickle at.
Right.
And those are things that are like um, pro-aging. There's just so much negativity around aging, I guess, in general. And I just don't like that.
Well, and
Because
so, so when I hear
I
pro-aging,
defy this. I'm like, what are you talking about? You hear pro-aging, what do you hear?
well, when I hear pro-aging, I can hear the intention
Mhm.
of someone
Yeah.
saying, I want to put a positive, and I think maybe it's the alignment of, well, pro what? Pro, like to me, I guess maybe pro-aging it doesn't spark or inspire anything within me.
Yeah.
Pro wisdom, that inspires something for me. Wisdom is incredibly valuable to me. Pro knowledge, there are things, but, and maybe that's part of what we're both coming to is you're recognizing your prickles make so much sense. They make so much sense if you know that Michelle Oliver's number one value is freedom. Well, of course, anything that seems for you, like in your body, in your energy, for you lands as a constraint on your freedom, it's going to bring prickles. And I also just want to offer our prickles are an awesome indicator.
Hmm.
They're information toward
Yeah.
our heart, toward our values, toward what's important. Our prickles, our tears, our triggers, like you name it, all these sensations in our body are super duper informative. Um, and then for me too, where I'm really resonating in this conversation is what it's communicating to me. And some things are like neutral. Like I've become very neutral around midlife, but that one I had to work that one I chose to work myself into because I valued the groups I was in
Mhm.
that were holding that name, right? And so then I surrendered and relinquished and I hold it in a real neutral space. But it doesn't inspire me. And I do want to connect my words with things that have a momentum to help me become the woman like that woman out there waiting for me to give her all the solids so I can become her. Like she's like, hey, I'm counting on you, chica. And I'm like, all right, well, I want language that propels me to get there quicker.
Yeah, exactly. So I think the thing is that I totally understand what you're saying about neutrality because I do that too. All that I think we all do. We hear the intention behind the term and then we just accept the intention and we choose not to react. So I get that. I think what's happening for me is I'm seeing this collective kind of consciousness around accepting something again. And this is the thing that troubles me about women is that we accept and then we try to fit in instead of just saying no, this is the way it's going to be, you know? So
I have so much appreciation for what you just said. What talking about inspiring, when you said we accept what is and we conform ourselves to fit into it, I felt the energy in my body of having done that with the term midlife. Like, hey, because I value these people and
mhm,
this platform, I I've been, conforming in some fashion my whole life. And so then I think it's all right, well, where is it important to me? Because I'm not going to go and transform everything, right? But where am I going to
yeah,
create rather than conform?
yeah. And it's
Where am I
important,
going to stand out?
right. Yeah, and challenge it,
Yeah.
because it is obviously very important to be able to function socially within these environments without making everybody feel like, oh my gosh, here she comes again. What's she gonna,
Here
there's
she
gonna be
comes to pick our language apart. Yeah.
conflict. But at the same time, it's more like being aware, and then as I just, the more I work with women, those common those common restraints, right? I mean, you just see them. You see the patterns and the consistency, the consistent language, which is often, I don't know, I've been teaching this workshop, this revision your life, and
Hmm.
um I'm doing I'm doing 2 a week, and they're selling out, which is crazy because it means that people are wanting to do that.
Yeah.
But within this, I keep hearing the same words, and they are words like, let me think if I can remember all. Procrastination. Um, I'm just not sure if I just think I'm too old. Just think I'm too old. So just take that alone, okay? That infuriates me. First of all, I feel sad initially, and then I get infuriated because these women, I look at them and I'm telling you, they are across the board. They could be, some of them are extraordinarily high achievers. Some of them I don't really know because they're not really saying, but um anyway, it's a vast array of different levels, like socioeconomically and everything. Okay,
Hmm.
but they have this shared idea that it's too late. I'm just too old. And the reason it infuriates me is that you have it just, because it's restrictive. And the fact is, here's the truth, according to me, that if you are here and you exist, you already need, please, to agree that a miracle is taking place. And the
Absolutely.
fact that a miracle is taking place means that you have power within you that has nothing to do with all the limitations of your past or the constraints that the society is putting on you based on age, the progression your life has been through. It means that freedom is possible. It means
Yes.
that possibilities exist because you are a miracle. That means that a miracle is possible for you. And living into that makes much more sense than living into doubt and fear. And that is not the way we are made. That is not what we were given. That is not the plan from that is not the plan. And I think people need this. They need to remember this. It drives me crazy that we so easily buy into our limitations and our contraction when,
Well, I'm going to interject and say
that's,
yes, yes, and yes.
yeah,
But here's the thing. So my heart also, I had immense sadness, but sadness in the sense that wow, women have been conditioned. That message of I'm too old, that is a conditioning message. And it's a message that is a societal norm that gets replayed and retrained and that we also inherit. We inherit the grief of our mothers and the grief of their mothers that plays into this message. Then I also experienced anger like you because oh my gosh, this is a societal message, right? And then I wanted to sing and I will. It's Hebrews 12:1. I was singing it today on a reel, but it says, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders. And here's what I'm thinking by that. We're surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. We are surrounded by all the people who have gone before us, who, by the way, also validates this idea that we really are a miracle. The fact that you exist and I exist. Think about our ancestors. There were a pair of people that had two pairs of people that had four pairs of people that had eight pairs of, and it just goes on and on and on. And they had to survive. And they had to survive in frontiers with all the dangers, all the imminent dangers. They had to leave society, go and make a new place so that we could. And then you just think biology, and you think about the sperm and the egg and all that had to happen. I mean, we are one in how many freaking eggs that, and we made it. Most eggs don't.
I
Most eggs
know.
don't.
I know it.
We so we already have this immense story of survival, of
Yeah,
conquering, of taking new land, of get right.
exactly.
So exactly to your point, and we all do have the divine spark, being image bearers. So it is more true about you, about me, about all the women in existence, that we are those who turn chaos into order. And every single one of us has a history of that. We can all look back and mine the gems of where we've already done, right? Rather than mining all the reasons of that hold us back, mining all that propels us forward. And that's what I want to champion, because yes, I am sad that that is a message we've believed. I am angry that it's a message that gets perpetuated. And I'm also so grateful to be a mouthpiece for the miracle that we actually are.
So, Lisa Michelle, we're going to wrap this up today and continue with another episode about language, because I think we can go much deeper and further with this. But let's wrap this up today just with a statement from each of us. And I think what I'd like to just reiterate that you shared earlier actually is that what we're choosing in our world, like what we really want to have, we can feed with language, and we
Yeah.
can be aware of how other people are affecting us. We're speaking our lives into existence, and we get to feel, like you mentioned, in our bodies, when you hear a word or you get the prickles or whatever, that is information that's allowing you to say, wait a second, that doesn't sit right with me. I have the freedom to change the words that I speak into my own life. And then we can also be in society and not take things so personally, just receive those intentions without the words. But it kind of all starts with self-awareness. So
Yeah.
what's your final?
Well, I'm so glad you said it starts with self awareness, because my final is just to slow down and start to, even if you're not starting with your own language, start to notice the language used by others, the language on TV shows. Seek to notice your own language, and then just decide, is that because, oh, let me just pause right there and say, as you notice your language, some of it will show you the areas that you do not feel like you have power in your own life. Those
Mhm.
are tender places, and they deserve love. Like, don't
Mhm.
all of a sudden go, I'm not going to use that, and kick yourself to the curb. Be tender,
Yeah.
be gentle, compassionate, and inquiring. Give the love, and then reason with yourself. Like God reasoned with us. Come, let us reason together. Reason with your own brain and bring it to a direction that you would like to head in a compassionate, loving, and parental even way. Like, you get to be the adult grown-up parent in your own precious story. So that's,
I love that. It kind of, it comes back to what we were talking about on another episode, which is starting with curiosity and
mm-hmm,
moving into courage and then
mm-hmm,
creativity. And
Yes.
here we are having these courageous conversations, which
Yeah.
we will be having every Monday. And we invite everyone to join us. And we hope that this inspires and encourages everyone. And thank you so much for being here. I could speak with you all day long, but duty calls. And I must
I am
say,
giving big giant hugs, Michelle, and just so thankful for how this will bless so many. And peace out.
yeah, peace out. Okay, I will see you next week.
See you next week.
Same time.
Same time.
Ciao for now.